July is upon us, a new week is upon us, and hence a new episode of House of the Dragon is also upon us. Episode 3 is currently out, so let's talk about it. Hi, and welcome to today's episode breakdown of House of the Dragon. And this episode has really challenged me, so I'm here with facts. I came prepared. And I'm going to do or try to do a scene by scene breakdown, and hopefully it's not going to be as long as I would think, but it's I promise to make a summary out of this. I hope my summary classes will come in handy here. So the episode is titled The Burning Meal, and it's in accordance to what happens in the very first scene of the episode. We are presented with two families, the Brackens and the Blackwoods. And this family is, or rather, these families are a cornerstone of this episode, because all of the scenes, most of the scenes, even other people keep referring to these two families. So they are a very important part of this episode. They are a very integral part of it. So the Blackwoods and the Brackens have been at war with each other since time immemorial, to a point where they don't even understand or even know why they don't like each other anymore. They just fight because it is slated for them to just not like each other. Blackwoods and the Brackens in this case, or rather in the first scene, are in conflict over their lands. The conflicts, or rather the fight, kinda is brought up by the fact that the Brackens bring out the aspect of the Blackwoods being allegiant to Rhaenyra by calling them the Babe Killers and calling them the Kinslayers. And the Blackwoods being loyal to Team Black, Rhaenyra, said through this guy called Davos, he says that your king is no rightful king. And swords are thrown and are drawn, or rather not thrown. Swords are drawn, and there's this transition between that sword being drawn by the same person drawing that sword, transitions to him dead on the ground, I think with another sword or his sword in his neck. And that transition is so smooth to a point where you don't even realize it happening. You'd expect to see a war, but you don't see it. You hear it in the transition that takes less than 5 seconds, and you're presented with a battleground filled with dead bodies. And it's the Brackens and the Blackwoods, and they are separated by this stream, you see. And we finally get to see the burning meal. It's just they're burning with all these bodies lying around, and it kind of shows what is going to happen with the Dance of the Dragons between the Team Black and the Team Greens. As in, war is never kind to anyone. Anyone who participates in war knows that there's going to be a significant loss, especially the significant loss of lives, which is devastating, So I think that was one of the best scenes for me. It was a very strong scene to start with. And for me, it bore no significance. Remember that I am a relative Normie to all this. As much as I may know law from here and there, this scene, I didn't realize how much of an impact it was until it kept being referred to, or rather these two families being referred to by almost everyone in this show, even without them knowing. We are then taken to Rhaenyra and Rhaenys and the other people burying the twins that died, trying to protect Rhaenyra, the queen. And Rhaenys is like in Rhaenyra's ear, telling her that, you can stop this war. It's still very young. It's not, it's not gone out of control. At least there can be some control right now. And if you guys can talk with Alicent, the better. Because it's going to get to a point where people will fight so much, to a point where people will not even realize why they are fighting. So even if Rhaenys is not aware of what she's saying, it still goes back to the Blackwoods and the Brackens, who are also divided between themselves and also have picked aside Team Green and Team Black. These people have fought for a very long time, to a point where they don't know why they are fighting. And Rhaenys is trying to tell Rhaenyra, let's not get to that point, even if she's not even saying, she's not referring to them directly. They are like a point of reference, these two families. So you see, that's why I thought that was very smart, and that's why I like writers who are intentional. And J.R.R. Martin is one of those intentional writers. Nothing just goes to chance. Everything has meaning, and that's why I respect him as a writer and as a creator, because he's created this vast world that everything intertwines with each other, Yeah. So the next scene is Sir Christian Cole joining the Green Council, and he's now the hand of the king. If you don't remember, he's now the hand of the king. They sent Otto away, and we see how uncomfortable he is in this role. Remember that he's one of the best knights in Westeros, rather. He's one of the best knights, and he's really good at his job. But him being a hand is something completely new, and it comes with more responsibility than being a regular knight, or being the best knight, let's say. So him being uncomfortable, it just comes out very clearly. Him being summoned, him being even entering the room as the last person, and King Aegon is like, oh, I hope you're late because you were attending to serious things, because now you can't afford to slack around. But I believe the counsel that he gives here makes a lot of sense. I think I would also make the same decision, because he advises the guys, because now I remember Team Green is all about war. Them, they're not at holding back like Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra is still, I don't know. We don't know. War is going to. She's cautious. Let's say she's not decided, but she's still very cautious. Aegon and his Green Council are like, we are going to war. It's now time to plan. And Christian Cole has summoned, or rather created, his own people who he's going to take to the Riverlands through Harrenhal. And remember, Harrenhal is where Daemon went. So remember, these two places are key to winning the war, as Christian Cole says. But remember, those two places are very, very important. And also, even in this Green Council, they still go back to the Blackwoods and the Brackens. And it is also said by those council members who are like, these people fought somehow or somewhat in our name, and I think someone died on the Blackwoods. And Aegon says, okay, a name who died for our cause. But this other council member who's like, these people have been fighting for a long time. So as much as maybe they have been a catalyst for them to fight, it might not be the reason why they fought, because these people fight all the time. And at the end of the day, this battle, or rather skirmish, because you can't call it an all-out war, there was significant loss to both sides, to a point where you can't even tell who won and who lost. So remember that. You see, they keep going back to these two families who are a representation of what is going to happen, the bloodshed and everything. And after everything is said and done, nobody is even going to realize who won or who lost, because of how much loss is going to go through for both sides, So remember that. And there's this interaction between Seasmoke, I would say Seasmoke, Missandria, and Queen Rhaenyra. And for me, what it signified is that Missandria and Seasmoke are kind of lost, Seasmoke lost his rider rather, and Missandria is trying to find a place to belong. Her initial plan was to run away from Westeros, as she had said when she was set free. But right now things have changed, and she sees Queen Rhaenyra as someone who is kind, you see. And she's like, how can I repay that kindness? Or Rhaenyra is like, okay, I owe you my life. What can I offer you? And she's like, I want a place in your council. I'm very significant. I know so many things, and I know so many things a lot of people don't know. And that's why, I was very important to Daemon to some point. And there's a point where they talk about Seasmoke, and Missandria asks why Seasmoke is behaving like this, or do dragons regularly behave like this? And Rhaenyra says, I don't know what is wrong. Rhaenyra says he's been very unsettled lately. We don't understand why he's been behaving like that. And Missandria says maybe he's lonely. A callback to Seasmoke is officially looking for a rider. That means Rhaenyra's husband, who they faked his death, probably is now dead. And once your rider is dead, a dragon can officially now look for someone else because that bond is broken. So that's where this other son, this bastard son, wait, I don't know why I'm calling him that, but that's where he's going to come to place, and that's where he's going to claim Seasmoke. I forget his name, but I'll probably remember it by the time we're done. So I think that was a very significant scene. They are both looking for a place to belong. They are both looking for somewhere. Miss Andre is looking for a place to belong. Seasmoke is looking for a rider, finally. The other scene that was very significant was Rhaenyra finally giving up her children for their safety to Rhaena, and Jaehaerys also going to this particular place where Rhaenyra's, I would say, aunt, because she's related to Rhaenyra's mother, who plays a very significant part in this war. She's called Lady Jean Arryn, who requested for a dragon for her soldiers. And she's been told that, or rather, as I hear about her, she's a person who's ruled over her kingdom for a very long time. Over time, she has been challenged by so many men, but she always comes out on top. And she's like, I feel like I have everything. The one thing that I would want is a dragon. And a dragon is given to her, although I think a very young dragon. Young dragons are taken. Young dragons, eggs, and I think the 3 that will get to Daenerys at some point. And her children are given to Rhaena. And Joffrey is also now taken to that area. But remember, Joffrey is there to collaborate with Jean Arryn, but Rhaena is going to Pentos, where her mother, remember, died, because it's somewhere close, very, very hidden, for her to be able to protect Rhaenyra's children and also be able to protect the remaining eggs. I'm thinking one of them is going to hatch, but as I said, the other 3 are the ones that are going to be given to Daenerys, I think 100 and something years to come. So yeah, as I usually say, and this is something that I've changed, my mind has changed over time. Let me go out of tangent kidogo. Daenerys has always been the main character of Game of Thrones. The prince that was promised. I used to think it was Jon Snow. It was not Jon Snow. The prince that was promised was Daenerys. And I'm so sad that they didn't finish that story, or whatever ending they gave her was very stupid and sus. But remember, J.R.R. Martin created a whole family line, a whole story of the Targaryen story, one of the biggest houses in Westeros, to just explain her existence, to explain how she was different from her ancestors. So as much as people try to downplay Daenerys, she is the it girl. Her whole story was the foundation of everything that happened. Because I remember, I think an interview I watched, he was like, now I was writing these characters, and I wanted to explain why they behave a certain way. So I think with Dany, he had to create a whole storyline, a whole backstory to just explain this one character, Daenerys is awesome. So back to episode 3. After they're sent away, we now get to Harrenhal. Remember, Harrenhal is very important and significant in the war. And we find Daemon taking it. He didn't even fight. He came ready for war. He was clothed in his, armor and everything, with his sword and with Caraxes, the dream team. And he was expecting battle. But they were like, you know what? You just take over the place. The guy is called Simon Strong. So I was like, maybe he owes some allegiance to Rhaenyra. But also, he said that he's not loyal to the Greens simply because of his nephew, the fit guy, Larys. He's like, I'm not loyal to them because I believe Larys is the one who killed his brother and father. So yeah, that's why I don't even care. And key players get into this Harrenhal story, which I'm going to talk about later. we are introduced to this lady who's called Alice Rivers. And one thing I didn't know is that when you're a bastard in Game of Thrones, you're called after the land or the place you were born in. You're not given the family name, just like Jon Snow. Jon Snow was born in the north, so the Snow name. So yeah, I think that was really cool. That's a key detail to know. So that Alice Rivers lady, mark her. We are going to come back to her. Remember when we talked about the greens? We come back to the blacks now. The blacks are kind of divided. You see, like the greens are all out. We are all out war except for Alicent, who is not even very significant, because even when she talks, nobody listens. With the blacks, they want war. The men want war. But Rhaenys and Rhaenyra are very held back when it comes to the aspect of war. They are like, no, we can't just fight for the sake of fighting, because when dragons fight, it's going to be a bloodbath. For now, since nothing significant has happened, let's just hold back. So I really liked that interaction, and Rhaenys reminding these men that, remember, Rhaenyra carries the crown of Jaehaerys, who was not about war, who was the most peaceful Targaryen king and ruled the longest. So please, we are not here about war. If it's not an option, we will not take it for as long as it is necessary. I also liked the interaction between Meleys and the husband, them planning for war. I think them trying to know what the people who are going to inherit them was something Meleys was trying to talk about, but the husband was like, no, me, I'm going to live. So I'm not going to talk about people who will inherit me. So as in, I think he's just avoiding the topic of just dying, which makes sense. I also think the interaction between Alicent and the daughter Helena was interesting, because Alicent was kind of looking for a way to talk about what she had seen, and Helena was like, you know what, I lost my son. Okay, she didn't say that, but she's like, I forgive you, let's just not talk about it. You know, the person who was supposed to protect my kids was basically sleeping with my mom. So yeah, I think that would not be a very comfortable topic to talk about. So I respect Helena just saying, you know what, I forgive you. Let's not go further than that. Remember when Sanjay is given a seat at Rhaenyra's council, Larys is also given a seat in Aegon's council as the Master of Secrets. They're basically going to be doing each other's job, but from different sides of the team. I think that was very important. We are also introduced to this guy. He's one of those people who are considered dragon seeds. He's a bastard. He is said to be a step brother to Prince Aegon and Rhaenyra's father. Yes. So people don't believe him because he doesn't necessarily look like a Targaryen with white hair. We saw another Targaryen bastard guy in episode 2 and 1 also. So these dragon seeds are very important because the blacks are basically going to use them as dragon riders. Remember, they have a lot of dragons, especially from where Rhaenyra is, from Dragonstone. So they're only looking for dragon riders to have them ride these dragons. I think that the scene that was very important and significant to me was Aemon's scene. We saw Aemon last time in a brothel, and this is where he's like the most laid down. He has let all his guard down. Remember, Alicent is not really a mother figure, so it's very weird or rather sad to see that the only relation Aemon has to this lady who's like the owner of this brothel, he kind of relates her as the mom. So as much as, yes, there is that interaction which is not really nice, because remember, he was taken to this brothel as a very small kid, so he was literally a said. So I feel like there was like a bond, like a Stockholm syndrome that was created. So he was apparently found there with Aegon and the rest of his knights, and Aegon was literally making fun of him. He was like, oh, now you've never even moved on to any other woman, you're still just with this one, Kwani, how good is she, blah blah blah. And you could see the shame in his eyes, and I expected him to like lash out, but he didn't, which I think was really advisable for him not to. Remember that Aegon is still king, so I think he holds back a lot. He holds back a lot, and him just walking away. By the way, they gave us full frontal. I didn't expect them to, but they gave us a full frontal, and he just walked away, and he was like, you know what? Every is just as okay as the next, so you can have him, because they were trying to break in these other knights. And remember, knights are not supposed to like have relations to someone else, because it will skew their allegiance to the crown of which they're supposed to serve. So I think this scene was so, I wanted to look away so bad, because I felt his humiliation. I feel like now he's about to explode. The other scene that was funny for me, and I was rooting for Bella to burn these people. You remember she was given the task of just surveying the lands next to the red to the to King's Landing, just to see what the Greens were planning. And she met Sir Christian Cole and this other, the Alicent's brother. Remember, Alicent's brother is like spoiled and everything. He even wanted to go to where, to an inn, to just enjoy. And Sir Christian Cole is like, you know what? We are at war. We are not here to leisure around. And Sir Christian Cole is basically the person who saved them from Baylor burning them down, because he's the one who alerted them of the dragon. They were quick enough to find safety among the trees. So that was quite an interesting scene. I was like, burn them now, burn them. This other scene that caught my eye was a Daemon's scene in Harrenhal. Remember, Harrenhal just looks creepy. Even from the first scene when he gets there, it looks like a haunted palace. Literally, it looks like the ruins of a battle scene, you know. And truthfully so, because Aegon the Conqueror burnt it down, didn't or weren't able to recover it completely. I don't know why. So it just looks dark, wet, trying to, I think, probably settle down, but every place is just dripping, near his bed, everywhere. And there's this knock he hears from the door, and he opens it. There's no one, and he kind of follows, I think, a path where he sees light. And when he opens a door to another room, he finds young Rhaenyra. I was so excited to see her. You see, this episode was a very strong episode. He finds Rhaenyra, the young Rhaenyra, and she's sewing Aegon's son's head together, the one that they had he planned to execute. And young Rhaenyra is like, you know what, I always clean up after your messes. And for me, and this is my own assessment, it's basically the aspect of Daemon doesn't like being held accountable for anything. Nothing. But there's one person who's able to hold him accountable, and that's Rhaenyra. And that's why he even ran away from Dragonstone to Harrenhal, just to not be accountable to anything. And as we come to find out, it's a dream, obviously. See, we know young Rhaenyra is not around, you know. And he comes to in front of a weirwood tree. And we know that the weirwood tree from Game of Thrones had the power of helping you see the past and the future. And remember when I told you guys to remember this lady called Alice Rivers? She's kind of or sort of a witch. Tells Daemon, this is the place where you're going to die. And I think that is where he's going to meet his demise, but later on the series, you know. So Alice Rivers is said to be the witch, like the one from Game of Thrones. I forget her name. the one that was like really, really old, but she looked very, very young. And when she removed the necklace, she was like an old grandmother, kabisa, kabisa, kabisa. There are even people who thought it was her, but I don't think it is. But I think they are from the same covenant or what, convent. I don't know which is called the associations, but I'm just calling it that. But it is said that she does exist. She still is alive here because she was said to be centuries old. So she is alive during these events. So yeah, I think that was very significant. And she's one of the people who's brought Damon to fear. I've never seen Damon have fear in his face. He's very arrogant. He knows who he is and all these things. But this is literally the only woman who I have seen bring fear in his eyes. The last scene is the most significant scene of all because it brought back Rhaenyra and Alicent together. Personally, I didn't think they would come together ever again at all. So them coming together was a major, mindfuck for me. So with the help of Mysaria, Rhaenyra dresses up as a nun from the Seven. You remember the Seven from Game of Thrones, the ones that were blown up by Cersei? That's one of the most legendary scenes on Game of Thrones. So she dresses up as a nun. Remember, she has white hair, so she can't go around just walking around like a normal person. She had to really disguise herself. She had to really disguise her hair. Remember, even when Daemon and Rhaenyra went out in the first season, they kind of hid their hair because that's how you would really know them. So she dressed up as a nun to go see Alicent because Alicent has been a very loyal follower of the Seven, and it brings up the aspect of church and politics together, which is a whole other topic I'll not talk about here, maybe in another video. And this is the last ditch effort for Rhaenyra to hold some kind of peace. She approaches Alicent. I think I am tired. She approaches Alicent and begs her not to continue this thing that has happened, because she's like, I don't know why you told me I'd be one of the best or greatest queens, and then you went around and did whatever you did. But Alicent is like, but the king said his last words that Aegon is the king that was promised. But Rhaenyra is like, wait, what? That is a story that my father used to tell. So whatever, that story is not about Aegon, your son. It's about a story that Aegon talked about. And I think she understood because she was like, Aegon the Conqueror. And I think it just flipped in her head. Oh my God, it was not about my son. But she doesn't want to admit to the fact that she did wrong. And she's like, you know what? Whatever has happened, happened. Everything has gone out of control. There's nothing we can do. We are at a brink of war. Everyone is now ready. They're all like this. Both sides are like this, just waiting for the other one to strike. There's nothing no one can do. And Rhaenyra is like, no, you can stop this. Just say the truth. Tell the truth. And of course, Alicent is not going to now go back to the Green Council and say, hey, you know what? I kind of did a thing that was not right. I was wrong. King Viserys was not talking about Aegon. This Aegon, he was talking about someone else. It was a prophecy. But I think she hasn't really understood that it was a prophecy. They are all taking it as a story, up until at this point. So Alicent leaving Rhaenyra to where she is, and we are left with a shot of her face realizing that, now it's an all-out war. You see her face move from the aspect of remorse to a face now ready for war, a face that is now vengeful because now it's an all-out war. Remember, Rhaenyra has tried everything in her power to stop this. She has tried. Even as a person looking from the outside in, you'd be like, you know what, you have tried. Now do what you want. Do what you can. Because now these people are not even listening. They're not even hearing you. So this is where the blacks have the upper hand. They have the moral upper hand. They've tried everything to at least try not to make this war happen. But the Greens don't care. Alicent has said, now it has happened. There's nothing we can do. So yeah, that episode was really something, and hey, this video has become so long. I didn't expect it to be this long. I don't even think I've done a longer video than this one, but this episode had so many things to talk about. I didn't feel like there's anything I would cut. Episode 3 was really something, and I believe episode 4 will now be at that brink of now the real actual war happening, and we're going to see the genesis of that war, because from the trailer, of which I'm going to do a trailer reaction to, we see different people on the battleground. So I think it's really going to be something. We're going to see dragons fighting each other. I feel like it's going to be a very significant episode, but I feel like all the episodes have been very, very significant. But anyway, that was a very, very long episode breakdown. I hope if you stayed up until this part listening to my ramblings, the ramblings of a normie on House of the Dragon, I salute you. Thank you so much. That was so fun. As much as I was stumbling over my words, that was really, really fun. I really love J.R.R. Martin. As in, him as a creator, as I said, I really respect his creations. So yeah, episode 4 is going to be out next week. We're going to do a trailer reaction. Episode 3, have you watched it? Tell me what you think about it. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.